What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Going the Distance podcast presented by ImmaculateSports.com. Twitter's at ImmacSports.
Instagram is also at Max Sports.
TikTok, YouTube, Immaculate Sports. It's episode 292. We've been gone for a couple of weeks, but that just means there's even more baseball to talk about today.
Yeah, it's obviously been a minute since we've had an episode. 2 weeks. So we're hopping back into power rankings and doing some early buy or sell trade deadline predictions because we're starting to, I guess, slightly understand what each team is in the MLB season. Obviously, with 162 games, you can really have 4 seasons in the span of that long. But we're starting to understand with a lot of these teams. We're seeing who's legit, who's not, who's breaking away, who is not breaking away. So we'll get into pretty much everybody that's not like a for sure thing. So you're not going to see the Rockies in there, or you're not going to see the Yankees in there because we know what both those teams are doing. But yeah, before that, opener, normal stuff. Skylar, what was the best thing you saw from this past week?
A lot of people have been down on the NBA for a couple of years now, but I've been trying to get all my friends back into it before this round of the playoffs started because it was looking like one of the most highly anticipated playoff series since maybe Golden State Cleveland, even Golden State Houston, where it was like this powerhouse and then the young guys coming trying to take it down. And last night absolutely delivered with this one. San Antonio wins in double overtime, thanks to 41 and 24 rebounds from Victor, something only Kareem had done before last night. It looked like he took the MVP voting personally and took it all out on OKC last night. Caruso, 31 off the bench, but not enough for San Antonio. Not enough for OKC because of SGA's terrible start. That was able to get Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper going, very impactful. Amazing game. I'll get into predictions at the end of the episode for this one, but I got to say, this was the best basketball game I've seen in a while.
Yeah, that was a pretty ridiculous game. I was flipping back and forth between the A's game and that game. Mm-hmm. And I witnessed the Wemby pull from 35 feet, watching that live. And I think I got a text message from everybody in my phone as soon as that happened. And I think my text to people was like, what the fuck? Like generally what just happened? Like, that is not a shot that you see. Obviously, as a Warrior fan, you get kind of flashbacks to a specific moment that happened, probably within 4 feet of that shot specifically. But Wemby's special, man. And he takes stuff very personally. The whole Chet and him rivalry. It's not like Chet's just kind of scared at this point. Like, he doesn't really want the rivalry because he knows what could happen. But for some reason, Wemby's just fueled by it. So there's that. I'll pivot to my opener, which is the best thing and also the worst thing I saw this past week. It was last night as well, too. It was that A's game. We'll start off with the good. JT Ginn, best outing was of his career, and what's been a stretch of just phenomenal baseball from him. Takes a no-hitter into the ninth inning, obviously loses it very quickly, and then gives up a home run to lose the game. But 10 strikeouts, 8 very strong innings from JT Ginn, and he's just kind of broken away from the rest of the pack in this rotation that has a couple of decent vets in Jeffrey Springs and Luis Severino. Second start this year where we've had a starter go at least 8 innings. Both of them have been JT Ginn. Earlier this year, it was against the Philadelphia Phillies. He just seems to be the guy that you can trust every fifth day right now. And that's something that's huge for the A's. Feels like you have a good chance to win when he takes the ball. I know that didn't happen last night, but before that, in his starts, they were 6-1 when he took the ball to start off a game as a starter. It's cool for him, I guess, to just see something like this happen. He's a guy that you can, he's not a huge strikeout guy, but it's you trust him. He gets ground balls. He leads with the sinker. He's got phenomenal stuff to go with it. So good stuff coming from him. But it also did suck seeing him lose that. And I think I even sent a text to our group chat where it's if he gives up a knock or a walk here, he's giving up a homer. It's guaranteed. That's just how the A season is going right now. That's how it did go. It's been probably the worst week besides the first 6 games of the season for the A's. So that's the worst thing that I've seen. We'll talk about them maybe in the power rankings, but for surely in this early buy or sell trade deadline predictions. But definitely something worth hitting on right there.
Honorable mention to the Carey twins calling the game together for best thing I saw too.
That was cool. Although it was impossible to tell who was talking. There's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, why is he saying this? Like he's been in the booth for years. I'm like, oh, it's his brother here. Yeah, that is a bit confusing for me, but I think I got it down by the time we got to like the third game. But moving on, player, pitcher, rookie in the week. Starting off with the player of the week, couple of fun candidates. Who'd you choose?
Yeah, a lot has happened in the time we've been away. So there's a lot of good options. A lot of guys from the Bay Area teams have been on fire. If you include the week before, you got Kyle Schwarber heating up, J-Ram carrying Cleveland. But Gavin Sheets was an absolute menace in Seattle last weekend. He was 9 for 18, 4 homers, 8 RBIs. San Diego needed all of those homers. And now they're half a game up on the Dodgers, too.
Yeah, I went Gavin Sheets for player of the week. 9 for 18, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, 6 walks, and a stolen base in there. That's got to mean something for him as a bigger dude. But hey, Gavin Sheets, weird career. Once he got to San Diego, kind of bit of a resurrection from a guy who had a couple down years in Chicago. But good for him. Kind of becoming the guy that we expected him to be when he first came up. You know, the big left-handed power bat. Maybe a bit of a platoon, but he's getting the job done in San Diego right now. Pitcher of the week.
Yeah, of course, JT was definitely on pace for this if they got the win last night. Michael King also last night, very good against the Dodgers. But there's always one guy at the beginning of every season, at least the first half, who looks like he's just playing on a different difficulty. And to me, that's been Christopher Sanchez. Complete game shutout in Pittsburgh, 13 Ks, no walks. Reminds me a lot of that Sandy season from about 5 years ago, where he's just the only one who has a real chance to go like 200 strikeouts with under 50 walks.
Yeah, it's Christopher Sanchez for me as well, too. The only complete game shutout that we had this past week, and I believe really the only one that we've had in this past month. He just throws strikes. I think his first pitch strike rate is the highest in the MLB right now, or at least – it's in the 70s, which is really, really good. And he's getting ahead of guys, and his stuff, like, it's not just, get me over stuff. It's like, holy shit, that's a 99-mile-per-hour sinker that he's throwing with it. And it's coming from a low angle, and it's breaking a shit ton. Like, he's really good. He's obviously been in the Cy Young contention now for a couple of years. And this is an outing that we look back on in September. We're like, oh, yeah, this is a Cy Young type outing. Rookie of the week.
Shout out to Trevor McDonald. Reminds me a lot of Corey Kluber, at least really young Corey Kluber without the control, because it was not a very flashy week of rookies. So I decided to go Carson Bench. He leads rookies with 12 hits. Very, very slow start with the Mets, but then explodes. They sweep Detroit and then has another 3-hit game in the Subway Series. Big difference maker.
Yeah, I went Carson Bench as well, too. Obviously, a super slow start to his career. It's been sneakily good over this past 2-3 week period. I've had him in fantasy this whole year, so I've obviously kind of had to have a closer eye on him than some other guys. I think he's been overshadowed. Not really sure he should have with AJ Ewing coming up. And it seems like every single at bat, if you're watching SNY, like Steve Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, like, oh, AJ Ewing, like he's having a phenomenal start. And then next thing you know, Carson Bench comes up and he's got 2 hits already in the game. And he's just having a really good, stretch of ball recently. A guy I like to watch, fun, little speedy outfielder as well, too, with a good left-handed swing. So 12 for 29, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, no homers, but a sign of good things to come for a rookie who's had a pretty solid month. On to our power rankings, which line up perfectly since we did this last episode 2 weeks ago. Now we get to do it again here. We'll start off with the teams that are just off or were on the list last time and didn't make it here.
I have 2 teams falling off my list. Detroit, just absolute shambles with their ace, Tarek Skubal, missing time. And then Baltimore, too, still not really able to pitch in the major leagues.
Yeah, I feel good about not having Detroit on my list last time. Kind of pre-ordering this downfall after Tarek Skubal got hurt. That's exactly what's happened. I believe they're like 2-11, 2-12 since that's happened. Cincinnati was the highest team on my rankings that did not make the list this time. They were at number 8. They fall out. The offense just hasn't really gotten going besides JJ Bleday, which is kind of funny. And the pitching's been a little weird now that they've given up some more runs. The bullpen's a little shaky. I'm watching Chase Burns carve right now, which is really funny. Just threw a 94-mile-per-hour slider. That's rookie numbers compared to Miz. But regardless, they fall off. The A's fall off, who I had at 12 last time. I just couldn't bring myself to do it after watching this past week. Obviously, this is a team that I have hyper focus on. I see them play every single day. It's not like sometimes don't have it on. I always have it on if they're playing. And I just couldn't do it, knowing the struggles that team is going through right now. And then the Kansas City Royals, which kind of disappoints me because this is a team that I thought was going to be good this year. Obviously, things can change, but the offense is just abysmal. And this is a team we'll talk about, later on in the episode with trade deadline predictions, but I'm just so confused by them. So Kansas City just off. We'll get into number 15. Who do you have as the last team on your rankings?
All right. We'll keep the A's conversation going for another minute because they're a -3, but they still stay on the board here. Not a good stretch. I think we all saw the A's flaws come out at the same time, resulting in just a really poor week of baseball. The defense without Jacob Wilson, how to manage a terrible bullpen, not scoring any runs despite playing in that ballpark. Luckily for them, the AL West has been going through the same exact thing. So maybe that's why I kept them on. They're still in first place.
Yeah. Number 15, the Mets are back. And I put them back in the number 15 spot. I kind of did this last time that we did this, where my 13 through 15, I believe, was kind of pre-ordering teams. Philly was one of the teams I had in there. Obviously, they've had a good week. You'll find them later on in my rankings. But the Mets, winners of 3 in a row, 7 out of the last 10, took a series against the Yankees, good series against Detroit, scored 10 runs in the 12th inning last night against the Washington Nationals, who have been surprisingly solid this year. So the Mets, I think they're starting to finally get it going. Are they a playoff team? I don't know. The 15th team usually isn't a playoff team, but as of right now, they're trending a whole lot better than what they were a month ago. Number 14.
All right, number 14, I got Seattle. They're only dropping one spot because they're clearly a better team than they were at the beginning of the year. But a 6-7 stretch, I know I did the thing. It's just not good enough to move up my board yet. A ton of young guys are getting called up to Seattle. So this feels like a team that heats up in July. So that's why I keep them here. It's just so many injuries.
Number 14, for the first time in a long time, the Chicago White Sox have made my rankings. And it's just fun because I see so many similarities as a franchise comparison to the A's. So I think when the White Sox do good, I get that like hopeful, wishful feeling of the A's with, just similar relationship between the White Sox and the Cubs and the A's and the Giants. But I mean, this team can hit, man, and they are so fun to watch. They hit a ton of homers. Miguel Vargas is one of the best hitters on the planet this past couple of weeks. Colson Montgomery hits tanks. Mooney hits tanks. Edgar Caro got one out of the ballpark this past week. Tristan Peters has homers in back-to-back games. Like, they're just a fun team to watch. Now, is it probably stressful if you're a White Sox fan, knowing that your back end of the bullpen is probably going to give up the game and then you have to get it back? Yeah, but they're over 500. I did not think that we'd be close to talking about this with the White Sox early in the season or even prior to the season, but they're fun. One of the, probably if you were to sort my MLB TV teams right now, I think they'd be top 5 as far as what I watch. So Chicago White Sox, number 14. On to number 13.
Yeah, I got the same team that you just talked about at 13, the White Sox, unranked, probably first time since the COVID season, honestly. And the Chi Sox, like you said, a lot of similarities to the A's. Also feel like maybe a little bit of the St. Louis of the AL right now, just winning too many games to ignore. And word for word, like you said, they hit a ton of homers. Davis Martin destroyed me in fantasy baseball. I came back, though, but at the time I was just so confused that he was outdueling Soriano. And they just won a series against the Cubs. So The Cubs are going to be very high on our list. We can't ignore the White Sox any longer.
From an exciting team to perhaps the most boring team in baseball, the Texas Rangers are my number 13 team. That's because they can pitch. I really think pitching limits your floor, but hitting limits your ceiling. If you can't hit, you're not going to win the World Series. But if you can't pitch, you're not going to win a fucking game. That's just how it works. The Rangers, I mean, they can pitch like crazy. They just can't hit. 22 and 25 right now. Still haven't really gotten going in the season. But I feel like they're a team I can trust a whole lot more than a 23 and 25 team in the Washington Nationals or the Arizona Diamondbacks. Or I guess it's the same reason why I have the White Sox right below them. So Texas Rangers unranked to number 13. I think they'll probably stick around here, be close to a playoff team, but I mean, their pitching's good enough that I think it's okay to put them on here. Number 12.
Number 12, I have the Cincinnati Reds only dropping 2 spots because they're kind of like how you look at the Rangers. I feel like they do so many great things that even though they're about to lose their 4th series of the month already and the pitching staff is ice cold out of Chase Burns, I can see it. I feel like they can catch fire at any moment. So that's why I'm still hanging on to them.
Number 12, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are losers of 3 in a row. They moved down 3 spots. Very frustrating series this past weekend against the Philadelphia Phillies. I feel like White Sox Chicago versus the Cubs, Phillies versus Pirates is kind of the same idea of like, this is your opportunity to show that you're not the worst team anymore in between this duo. And maybe, you're probably still not even convinced that the White Sox are better than the Cubs. But if the Pirates took the series from the Phillies, I think you kind of would be convinced that the Pirates are a better team than the Phillies. And they got swept. They could not pitch. They could not hit and just got manhandled for 3 games over the weekend. So I moved them down 3 spots. I still think they're a fringe playoff team. Obviously, they have the best pitcher in baseball in Paul Skeens, who's just on a ridiculous run right now. But outside of that, it's tough. So they moved down 3 spots for me. Number 11.
I got the Pittsburgh Pirates at 11. They were coming off of the sweep over Cincinnati when I moved them up to 9 last time, but they're going to get a -2 from me here. Not even close against Philly, like you were saying. So those guys got to switch places.
Number 11, they move up 2 spots, despite not a crazy 2-week stretch. The Seattle Mariners, that's just because I feel like you can kind of trust them that they're going to, have a stretch here, whether it be in June, July, August, September, that they just win like 20 out of 25. And they immediately just throw themselves in the top tier of the AL teams. They have the pitching. They have the back end of the bullpen. I know it's a little bit injured right now. They have the young, exciting prospect in Cole Emerson, who I'm not fully bought in on. He looks like just non-baseball wise, just looking at him, he looks like Cole Young and Jared Kelenic. Like
that's what Brett said today.
Into combined person. It's really weird. Like he looks exactly like the both of them. Maybe it's just like, I don't know. They're doing some weird gene stuff over there in Seattle, trying to make Jared Kelenic. Prospects. Yeah. But I also thought Cole Emerson and Cole Young were the same person for like a year and a half before they were both in the big leagues. But regardless, I feel like you can trust Seattle. Julio's starting to play well. Josh Naylor's starting to play well. Randy Arozarena had a really sneakily good season. They'll break out. You trust it. So they move up 2 spots for me. Number 10.
The Cleveland Guardians are back in the top 10 for me. They've been on fire, 9-4 over the last 2 weeks. The most walks, the most stolen bases over that time period, too. J-Ram, Angel Martinez, Bazana back up in the majors. In the majors for the first time. They're all heating up right now. They've really separated themselves from Detroit. So I put them back in the top 10.
Number 10, this team has completely shaken their early season woes. The Philadelphia Phillies, I move up to number 10. Because they have all the pieces that would make a playoff team. They have dominant starters. They have a good lineup with big-time hitters, and they have a back end of the bullpen. that can fuck. And that's just how it is. Johan Duran, nobody's looking forward to, getting Sanchez out of the game to go face Johan Duran. That's not how it works. It's shitty on both ends of it. They've been playing good baseball, winners of 5 in a row now. Just swept the Pirates like we talked about, and it wasn't really like a close series either. Like if you could win the game more than once in a game, they'd have like 2 wins in each game there, but that doesn't happen, of course. Regardless, they're over 500 again. I pre-ordered them last time, putting them at 15. They move up big time this time, up to 10. Number 9.
The Philadelphia Phillies. Well, that was quick. 8-2 in their last 10. Zach Wheeler is 110% back, which is awesome. I love watching Zach Wheeler pitch, and he was supposed to be done. No one comes back from that injury. Don Mattingly's like 18-6 as their manager now. Like you said, it may be a little early, but we did the same thing with San Diego and St. Louis last month. I'm okay with this. Philly's got a lot of firepower.
Yeah, speaking of St. Louis, I put them up 1 spot to number 9. I guess I was kind of disrespecting them early in the season, where it's just like, okay, like St. Louis is going to fall apart at some point. And then I saw them play the A's. I realized, damn, I really don't want to face Riley O'Brien in the back end of the bullpen. I really don't want to face this other guy, Gregory Soriano, in the back end of the bullpen. And then you look at their pitchers, and you're like, okay, we got McGreevy tomorrow, Liberatore, and somebody else. I forget who it was. I'm like, oh, this is an easy series to go win. And the next thing you know, it's like 2 strikeouts, 6 innings, 2 runs, and you're facing the back end of the bullpen really quickly. And they hit the ball. They play good defense. I don't want to say like the Cardinals are a playoff team, but I mean, they have the recipe that makes playoff teams. So they're at number 9 instead of number 14. Number 8.
Number 8's where I got St. Louis. They do move down 1 spot for me. I don't really consider them to be amongst the elite teams. But I also came away from the series win in Sacramento very impressed with the Cardinals. Really, really good pitching. Series wins over the A's, of course, San Diego, and Kansas City. They're doing exactly what they need to do, just winning ball games and confusing the entire National League Central.
Number 8, up 3 spots, the Cleveland Guardians, who have kind of broken away in the AL Central. Not really. But, I mean, you expect them to stick more than the White Sox or the Twins. And with the Royals and the Tigers being so far down low, the confidence in Cleveland has to be all the way up. J-Rams got through a slump, and he's fine. Bazana is now up. DeLauder's starting to hit again. The pitching staff is very Cleveland-like, and the bullpen is very Cleveland-like as well, too. But that's how things work. They win ball games. So you're probably going to win in between 87 to 90 games. And I'm consistently starting Brian Rocchio over Fernando Tatis Jr. in my fantasy league, which is just ridiculous. So he's another guy who's just having a really good season for them. Number 7.
Yeah, speaking of Tatis, I have those San Diego Padres moving down 1 spot to 7. 9-4 over the last 2 weeks is great. Considering all the stars in the lineup aren't even playing well at all right now. Machado also in one of the worst slumps of his entire career. But it doesn't matter as long as Sheets and Ty France and the entire rotation are all on fire like they are right now.
Yeah, the Padres. Minus 2 spots despite a good couple of weeks. Number 7 here. It's just like if you were to say prior to the season that we are in May 19th, Fernando's been healthy all year and he has 0 homers. Like, okay, they're probably 17th instead of 7th. They're not leading the NL West right now. But they're doing exactly that because they just pitch. It doesn't matter if it's Griffin Canning or Lucas Giolito or Walker Buehler. It works. And their back end of the bullpen is elite. We know that. If they hit, like this is a team that can legitimately win the World Series. Number 6.
The number 6, I got Tampa Bay. Very similar to San Diego. They're going to move 1 spot. Even though they're on fire, they're still doing it. 18-4 run right now. And I think this is a lot more sustainable than some of the other teams we've talked about right now, thanks to the pitching lab, of course, Caminero, Yandy Diaz, Simpson, Aranda, all crushing the baseball. And I'm very happy I took their over this season.
Milwaukee Brewers, they stay at 6 for me. Good stretch. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Uh, I mean, it's very Milwaukee-like. They pitch really well. It's a bunch of guys that if you're casual, you haven't heard of, or even if you know ball, you might have not heard of half these guys out here. They steal bases. They play good defense. They don't hit a ton of homers, but they hit the timely hits. Good series over the Yankees a couple weekends ago. They're just a good, consistent team, and when Pat Murphy's at the helm, you can rely on them. Number 5.
Yeah, I'm going to move Milwaukee back up into the top 5, +3 for me. They got a sub-2 ERA this month, despite having a very rough month from the bullpen. So I think it's fair to say they don't really miss Freddie Peralta right now at the moment, because just like Tampa Bay, they just always seem to find the next guy that's just ready to roll. And I don't want to upset Milwaukee and the baseball gods, so they're back in the top 5.
Number 5, this is my version of not upsetting the baseball gods. The Tampa Bay Rays up 2 spots to number 5, even with the best record in baseball right now. I just don't know how they do it, man. Like, I'm at a loss for words with how not how this team is winning, but how they just did it out of nowhere and turned into the best team in baseball again. They pitch, they play good defense, they have like insanely timely hitting. They actually hit homers now as well too. And Chandler Simpson is just a terrorist to every pitcher and every catcher there is. It's like, okay, routine double, stand up triple. Like, that's just how it is for him right now. And it will always be for him because the speed never really goes away. But Tampa Bay, they're back. Number 5. On to number 4.
The Cubbies stay put at number 4 for me. They actually had a very similar week to the A's when I did catch some of the end of their games. They score early, and then they just strike out and give up too many runs and maybe put in the wrong guy out of the bullpen, the guy who's cold. But they do have a nice cushion over Milwaukee. At least they did before this 3-7-ish stretch that they had. And they also have 2 more games in Chicago this week, so they could get them back. And I guess that's what I'm counting on, putting them 1 spot over Milwaukee.
Yeah, I have the Cubs at number 4 as well too. They don't move. It's been just like a kind of frustrating couple of weeks for them as well, as like you said. Losers of 3 in a row, 3-7 in the last 10. I'm not worried. They'll be fine. It's just a little rough stretch, so I didn't move them. Number 3.
Yeah, the Yankees also staying put at 3. I didn't move them last week, even though they definitely could have been at the top spot. I think you might have had that. But they're another team that just had one of those weeks we've been talking about. Major collapse against the Mets, bunch of injuries, but I personally would keep them above Tampa Bay until they meet again.
Yeah, I had the Yankees at 1. They go to 3 here. Weird stretch of games. The bullpen isn't super reliable right now, and that usually is the difference between a good team and a great team, especially when you do all the other things that they do. They'll be fine. They'll probably win close to 100 games, but they won't win 116 with this bullpen, that's for sure. But you can expect that to be fixed once we get to the deadline. Number 2.
Yeah, the Dodgers aren't going to win 116 games either, but I don't care because they probably don't care either. And they have had by far the most dominant pitching staff in baseball, 30 less runs than the next team, too, and runs against, which I noticed today. And now Shohei's starting to heat up at the plate again, too. I wouldn't worry about them also staying put. My top 4 is all the same.
Yeah, the Dodgers move up 1 spot from 3 to 2. They're very conservative in the regular season. They're going to rest Shohei on days that he pitches now. And he even got, I think, the next day after he pitched completely all off, which I guess would suck if you are a Dodger fan and go into the game. But regardless, they're fine. Not worried. They deal with a ton of injuries every single year, it seems like. Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Mookie Betts has been out, obviously, for a while, but they seem to just be fine. So they'll weather the storm. They'll be all right. They're just not the Braves, and that's why they're not number 1.
Yeah, Atlanta's going to stay at the top. They won their big series against the Dodgers and my number 4 team, Chicago. 16-8, both at home and away. Just the most solid team for the longest stretch of time so far this season.
Yeah, Braves. I mean, they already won today. How about that? But regardless, they hit, they pitched, they play good defense. They should have won the game against. I guess they shouldn't, and then they should have, and then they shouldn't have against the Red Sox this past weekend, where the ball hit off Chapman's foot. But
That was insane.
that was ridiculous. But Drake Baldwin now hurt, kind of sucks. But Acuna's back, so that's good. Team to not be able to dodge the big injuries, which seems to be something that most teams deal with. But they're weathering the storm better than anybody else. 17 games over 500 is the highest in the MLB. Moving on to buy or sell for the deadline because it's early. It's only mid-May, but this stuff is warranting talks about it. We'll start off with the AL East teams. We'll start off with the Toronto Blue Jays.
I think Toronto's going to be a buyer in July. We talked about it last month that this was going to be the toughest stretch for them with all their injuries for the whole season. Will they take the Dodgers to 7 again? Probably not. But I do believe that this is their floor and they're going to go find some power for their lineup.
Yeah, I slated an urgency with each of these teams as well too, because I think that determines if you buy or sell, or at least has a good part in it. The urgency is high in Toronto after last year, after knowing what the team is capable. If they miss the playoffs this year, like you could see guys get fired. So I do think the urgency is high. I do think they buy. I think they will be fine. I think the AL is a land of opportunity right now, and Toronto's happy to be in it. So 21 and 26, and the season's not over. They're completely fine, but they do buy. Boston, who is 20 and 27.
Yeah, I think Boston is going to end up being a somewhat seller at the deadline. There's something wrong with this team. I mean, obviously, they just fired their manager. But what Philly's doing is not supposed to happen. This Boston stretch is not that surprising. They just lost their juice because Crochet and Anthony are supposed to be big vote getters this season, and they're not on the field right now.
Yeah, I said a medium urgency for them. They're still very young. They have a lot of young guys, and they have some guys that are on longer term contracts as well too. So I don't think if you lose this year, blow it all up. But I do think guys like Jarrett Duran and Sonny Gray are going to get a lot of calls once we get to the deadline, and I think they'd be willing to move them because they realize how tough the AL East is right now. And if you're not sure about it, you shouldn't be in it, and that's how I think Boston is. So I think they sell slightly. Not a full on fire sale, but Duran and Gray, I think are guys that are as good as gone, and maybe a Aroldis Chapman, Garrett Whitlock as well too. Baltimore.
I would buy stock in Baltimore, and I also think they would buy at the deadline too. They've had some really bad luck, some really bad timing. Alonso and Henderson, well, everybody in the lineups all slumping at the same time. And I don't think they come even close to catching the Yankees or Tampa, but they've given them 50 more runs than the A's have this season. They definitely need to get some more pitching. And I mean, based off of the contracts they've given away, they're definitely in win now mode.
Yeah, I think the urgency is medium to high, but just about everything that could go wrong has gone wrong this year. They've given up a ton of runs. Jackson Holiday hasn't played. Jordan Westberg's getting Tommy John, I think. So he's out for the season. They've had injuries to Adley as well too. It's just been kind of a yucky season for them in a year that I felt like they did a really good job preparing in the offseason. I think they could possibly sell. I think like Taylor Ward, expiring guys plus some relievers like Rico Garcia could be on the move, but it's more of like a retool. Okay, we can be back next year. Just realize, hey, this isn't our season. And I know it probably sucks for the front office, it probably sucks for the fans, but I think it's the right thing to do. On to the Central, the Chicago White Sox.
It's a great story, but I think this is still a team that needs to sell a little bit at the deadline. I get it, right? The Tigers suck. There's kind of a somewhat of a window that's opened up that you didn't expect, but I'm just not buying it. I think there's a lot of stuff they need to clear up first before they start making a move like that, like for an expiring pitcher or something like that. They're definitely not on that level yet.
Yeah, urgency super low for the White Sox. Their main prospects really aren't even up yet. They have the number one pick this year. So I think to stay and sell some vets, Sir Anthony Dominguez will probably go. I think he even has a bonus in his contract if he is traded. Some starters will probably go. I don't think it's like Davis Martin gone, but there's probably a team that'll call on Anthony Kay or Eric Fetty, and I'd imagine they happily oblige there, but urgency's so low that I think it's still a stay or sell a little bit here, but nothing crazy. Minnesota.
I think Minnesota will also sell. I was very harsh on them in the preseason predictions, and they've been much better than the worst team in baseball. However, I still think they end up in last place when it comes down to it. And they've already started the process, right? They just optioned Royce Lewis to AAA, giving somebody else an opportunity, making room. It's already started.
Yeah, urgency's low for the Twins as well, too. I mean, they just had probably one of the most ridiculous trade deadlines that we've seen in a while last year, given up, I think, is like a third of their team. I think it's not like they're trading Byron Buxton this offseason or this year. Maybe Joe Ryan goes. He could be a possible guy. But I don't think we see anything crazy outside of that. Josh Bell, maybe a guy that goes, some relievers of what they do have, I guess, go. But I mean, the urgency is so low. It's just like Chicago that I don't really think it's going to hurt them. Only thing that can hurt them is buying and giving up your future for that. So I say they sell, but nothing too crazy. Urgency a little different for these next two teams. The Detroit Tigers are next.
This is such an interesting conversation because there's only one thing that matters is Tarik Skubal back, and how many games back are they from Cleveland? I think that's got to be the deciding factor here, because there's a world where they get back on track, maybe sneak into the postseason. If it's like last year and it only takes 84 wins to get in, if Cleveland has some sort of issues this year. I mean, like, these guys had like the third highest odds to win the World Series, and they suck right now. So no, I'm not buying into them, but if they don't trade Skubal, they kind of have to go all in, right? I think the only way they sell is if Skubal's involved. And it's just such a weird situation. I feel like there's a higher chance they end up buying way too much at the deadline.
Yeah, the urgency is probably the highest out of any team that we'll talk about here. I mean, you think that they have to buy, right? Unless they're like way out of it and the gap is like 15 games, which even then I wouldn't be shocked if they buy, because this is the window. Like, if you don't win this year, you're probably not winning for the next 15 years in Detroit unless you have something crazy happen. So I think that's some urgency to make you stay. But I also think, I mean, maybe you do have a chance to, win a World Series in a couple of years if you trade Skubal and you get, a couple of top 100 prospects, even for a couple of months of him. I'm sure there would be a team that would be willing to do that, knowing the landscape in today's baseball and how the Tigers have really made themselves a World Series contender because of one pitcher. So I imagine they go crazy and buy insane, or they sell Skubal and sell the rest of the guys as well too, and just try to start over as soon as possible. But it's a tough decision. I would not want to be in Detroit as a GM right now. I'll say that. The Kansas City Royals, who have the same record as the Detroit Tigers.
I didn't pick Kansas City to get a playoff spot. So for me personally, I think like 82 wins is a decent moral victory for them. They have one of the best players in baseball, a great rotation when healthy to go along with them. They just need like a 2-week stretch that's solid. And they might be in both of our power rankings if that happened. So I will say slight buy for them, but as of today, they're not in that situation. I'm thinking they figure out a way to score some runs. If they don't, of course, they would trade some guys, probably like Seth Lugo would be gone. But I'm going to say they end up turning things around and have a slight buy.
I think the urgency is a bit higher in Kansas City because Chris Bubich is a free agent in the offseason. Cole Reagans is 2 years away from free agency. Vinny Pasquantino is 2 years from free agency. What does Salvador Perez look like in 2 years? I don't know how that's going to be. Seth Lugo, what does he look like in 2 years? What does Michael Wacha look like in 2 years? And Urseg at that point would probably be close to free agency as well too. And they don't really have a farm system that I'm like, oh, they have the ability to stick around for a while. So I think there's a chance that we see like a complete fire sale from them at the deadline. I think Cole Reagans has a chance, if it's not Skubal, to be the best starter moved at the deadline. Joe Ryan's kind of up in that same alley. Chris Bubich is there as well too. Or, if they have a really good month here and get back into it, I think we could also see one of those extreme buys where it's even like maybe they move Cags or somebody like that to go get somebody because for some reason they don't play them all the time, which is kind of nuts. But regardless, I think it's a fire sale or it's an extreme buy. There's no in between with Kansas City. If they stand put, they just kind of shoot themselves in the foot. Moving to the AL West, a couple of teams here. No Texas, no Seattle, and no Angels. So we'll start with the A's.
Yeah, I'm still hoping that last week was just the A's hitting their first wall of the season, not a sign of things to come for them. But I don't think they buy at the deadline yet. I think that would stunt the growth of this rebuild. They clearly have a year set. They want to be great once they're in Las Vegas, not in Sacramento. So I definitely could see a slight sell here. Maybe Cortez, Kunal, McNeil, anyone who is not going to Vegas, it definitely could be traded right now. But that's only if Seattle gets their shit together like we all expect them to.
Yeah, I will say the urgency is low for the A's. That's a good thing. I don't think we're seeing like a surprise Shea Langoliers trade to somebody, which would – oh, fuck. I mean, it would suck, but you would also get a shit ton back for Shea. Yeah. So maybe it is the right thing to do. I don't know. Depends what your ideas are for locking him up long term in the front office. Obviously, I think every single A's fan would like Shea to be an A for the next 7 to 10 years. But if that's become something that is just not going to happen and he is a free agent, let me pull it up real quick. After the 2028 season, so this year, next year, and the year after, then maybe it is something that you explore. It would be a move that people want to have Dave Forrest, burn at the stake for. That would be a very rough morale move as a fan base, but I could understand it from a GM's perspective. I don't think it's the right thing to do, but I think it is a possibility to look into. Relievers that are veterans, Barlow, Kunal, definitely could move. Cortez, I don't know. I think there is a log jam. I think if a guy like Cortez or even, say a guy like Bolte or Colby Thomas has moved, or some way it's Lawrence Butler, Denzel Clark, it is a long-term MLB talent pitcher that you probably try to get back. I don't think you're looking at like, okay, we just traded him for an 18-year-old DSL guy. It's not like that anymore. It's, a guy who's already in the big leagues. I think badly. That'd be something that happened last year already. Griffin Jacks, but yeah, I mean, the urgency is low for the A's, which is a good thing. It's not like, if they lose this year, Force is losing his job. I think he actually got extended or something, but yeah, I think the biggest problem with the A's, I mean, a lot of people hit on the managing. I don't hate Kotsay as a manager. I don't think he's terrible. I just think he's more reactive than proactive, which is what you need to be if you are a manager for a team that doesn't have a lot of money and a ton of legit relievers and pitchers. Because you can get away with being reactive, by reactive versus proactive, okay, just allowed a 2-run homer. Let's take him out. Or do you see the matchup coming from 3 batters away and you take him out now, knowing that you can get a guy in there, and then right after that guy's done, you have a lefty that comes in because you have 2 out of 3 batters being a lefty right after. Kevin Cash, AJ Hinch, Pat Murphy, those type of guys. Kate is not that. He tries to be sometimes, and with starters, he'll just take the leash off like as soon as possible. He used to do it with Jen a ton last year specifically. I'm going on this tangent because we had an opportunity to talk about it. It's not really anything to do with the deadline, but yeah, I do think the ceiling is kind of limited with Kate. I'll say that, but depends. If you have good pitchers, then Kate is probably not even a guy who the A's fans want on the hot seat. On to Houston. What do you think here?
Not that either of us had any expectations left for Houston, but they're really bad right now. Turns out you can't have a terrible pitching staff and stay 10 games over 500. It's just not possible. I think we could see a slight buy if there are young pitchers available, but nothing that would be talked on Sports Center. So I guess that would be considered more neutral. Similar to Detroit, I guess we'll see how Hunter Brown looks in a month from now. But I think that's the only thing. If they are going to buy, it would be for pitching. Other than that, they'd be selling off veterans.
Yeah, I don't really know what the urgency is because this is kind of like it feels very Warriors-like, where it's like, okay, maybe they're holding on to getting the play-in, but this team is not going to win a World Series if they get in. That's just not how it is right now. They still have, the guy that can win you a big game in the clutch moment, like Yordan Alvarez is right now, but it's just not a team that is championship worthy. And I don't know if the front office views it like that, or they view it as, okay, we need to find a way to, keep Hunter Brown, keep Yordan Alvarez and move on into the future. Or if it's like, okay, we need to sell Cam Smith or these younger prospects to go get somebody like, do kind of stuff what they did with Justin Verlander and trading Drew Gilbert a couple of years ago from the Mets. But I think they sell, to be honest with you. I just don't know exactly what's going on inside the front office's headspace. So I say sell, but maybe it's like a couple of relievers. I don't think it's like Hader or we see, Hunter Brown or Yordan Alvarez moved. On to the National League with the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to sell too. They've been playing pretty well down the stretch, but this is just in their DNA. The Gore trade looks pretty good for them right now. They're just not quite ready to go all in yet. Maybe even Dylan Cruz finally gets moved. Maybe that's why he's up. He's trying to get some tape out there for another move here. But I don't think Washington is in its final stage either yet.
Yeah, priority's low for the Nationals. They can't pitch at all, so obviously that really limits their ceiling. They hit the crap out of the ball. But I'm curious to see if they, do they really even want CJ Abrams to be there for the long haul? He's a free agent in a couple of years. Is he a guy that really fits with their long-term plan? I don't know. Tell you one of the guys that will 1,000% be gone is
Beater?
Foster Griffin.
Oh, yeah.
He is 1,000% gone, probably the most guaranteed trade. He's the guy that if the A's are sticking around into late July, you can just buy the jersey for the A's right now. That's happening. I think it's obviously a sell. They're not buying. This is not a team that's going to compete for the long term or long term this year. As the 162 is the whole term, but I say sell pretty easy. The Miami Marlins.
Unfortunately, I think they are also sellers at the deadline because I like a lot of their guys, but it's just such a really young team. They're not going to try to do anything crazy here. I don't think they can afford to buy any deals. And, well, the division they're in, too, is super stacked most years.
Yeah, I say the Marlins sell. I don't think it's crazy. Like, I don't think we're seeing, like, the ridiculous sell-off of, like, when it was, like, Jake Berger that got traded and some other stuff, some guys that they just traded for that you did not expect would happen. But Sandy, I think, is definitely a guy that could be moved. Maybe one of the non-Yuri Perez starters in there, too, like a Meyer or a Jansen Junk. Hitter-wise, how many years does Otto Lopez have, actually? Let me see what that is, because he's got to actually be a bit close to what we expect. Oh, free agent 2029. So we're good there. Don't need to worry about that. So I think they keep pretty much everybody, maybe do some retooling, Tampa Bay special type stuff, but nothing ridiculous. The New York Mets, this one is starting to get pretty easy.
Yeah, well, definitely a team that needs to do some version of retooling, that's for sure. I don't see them on the same level as Atlanta or Philly at all, even if they are playing better. The issue is I don't think there's one specific spot that moves the needle for them. They have good pitching, they just have really bad vibes. So I think in their best interest is to rebuild the farm system. They have the money to eat a lot of bad contracts. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to go all in again.
I'd say urgency is high because it's the Mets, and you need to compete when you have the highest payroll in baseball. I don't think they're in a terrible spot to go buy either. They have a really good farm system. They've always kind of done that, over the past 5 years or so. 10 arms. I think they'll be fine. I think they buy. I don't know if it's like, actually, I do think it could be Scooble and something like that. That's 100% realistic, but I'll say buy. Pretty easy. The St. Louis Cardinals.
I think we could see something here. It definitely didn't look that way in the offseason, but maybe grab a bullpen guy and a DH because they're ahead of schedule, and Chaim Bloom can get a little impatient. So I think we could definitely see something here with St. Louis.
St. Louis is confusing. I really don't know. They have the youngest roster in the MLB, so I think maybe that plays into a sell. But it's also like, who do they sell? Is it like Alec Burleson?
Yeah.
Or, Ivan Herrera? I don't think Herrera's a guy that they want to move. But there's some guys that they'll get calls on for sure, even if they are competing right now. But I say sell. I don't think it's anything crazy. I don't think they buy and make some, drastic move to go get an arm that's going to, expire at the end of the year. I think it's a slight sell. Milwaukee.
Buyers for sure.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah. They could have the best offer for a new closer. That's got to be pretty high on the wish list. I'm not really thinking Scooble with these guys, of course, but you never know. I definitely thinking more bullpen, but yeah, they're going to be buying.
I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of thinking Scooble for
it'd be sick.
Brewers. I think it's something that they could do. They have like a bajillion prospects. They have other arms that I think teams would be interested as well too, like big league ready arms that won't start playoff games for them. They buy. Is this a year though where they really realize after last year that, hey, like unless we go get a big time bat and a big time arm, we're not beating the Dodgers regardless, and this is our chance to really actually go win a World Series? Or is it okay? Let's wait until Jesus Mate and Luis Pena and Cooper Pratt are up, and we can go ahead and run at it then. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I think the Brewers could be a team that they really are trying to go win this year because they do have the ability to kind of do it and not really cost them their future as well too. Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think that this entire division should probably be trying to go all in. I can't think of any specific expiring contracts for Cincinnati. Another team that has pieces to do something big, maybe not as big as Milwaukee, but if they're still hanging around Chicago and Milwaukee, I could see them doing something. The only problem is everybody's ice cold, right? If this continues, if they fall behind Chicago and Milwaukee, they're going to have to sell a little bit, even though it would really hurt because, who knows how long this Francona regime has to figure it out.
Yeah, I was puzzled in how I wanted to put the urgency in Cincinnati. I think it's kind of medium because, I don't really see him moving the needle in the next couple of years. Like Chase Burns is already good. Hunter Green, he's hurt, but when he's healthy, like they get back to 500, type stuff, or even run differential. The prospects that they have, their top prospects, Alfredo, Duno, and Steele Hall, are years away. So it's not like, they got prospects coming up this year that are going to make the team better next year, and you don't want to give them up. I don't know with Cincinnati. I think I said stay, and I think that's just me not being sure, but I'm sure they have some internal thoughts within their front office of what they want to do. Arizona.
The right thing to do is probably different from what they will do with this team too. I would definitely make some changes here, but I think they're going to buy at the deadline because they have a good farm. They have cornerstone guys like Ketel Marte he's getting up there in age, man. They were just in the World Series. Maybe they could find some guys who aren't expiring yet, who fit the window, that could stay for 2+ years and try to go on one more run. But what they really should do is trade guys like Arenado.
Yeah, I didn't really know what the urgency was in Arizona as well too. I went into the season of this is a filler year for the Diamondbacks. They have Arenado. They have a couple other vets, Carlos Santana, who's been hurt all year. Ildemaro Vargas has kind of just become that. But I said stay. I don't know. I think this kind of was a year where you're just like, okay, let's wait until the offseason. Let's make a splash. Let's go do something there. So I don't think, they do anything crazy. I think they realize where they are in the division as well, too, and a very competitive NL. I think they stay, with the exception of, if Arenado can be moved, he will be moved. If Merrill Kelly can be moved, he will be moved. If Paul Sewald can be moved, he will be moved, type stuff.
Yeah.
And then our last team, the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, this is a team that is not as confusing as the last 6 or so we talked about. San Francisco has a ton of problems and a ton of big contracts. I think everything's on the table with these guys. Maybe even Logan Webb. I saw a mock trade. You may have seen it too.
Dump Arnold and Bolte or whatever.
Exactly. I personally wouldn't trade Logan Webb, but if you can get something like that from a very desperate team, they should trade as much as they can.
Yeah, I think they should sell. But the only thing that's taking me away from that is it feels like the ability to accept complacency for another year in San Francisco, it's been 500 baseball since, besides 2021, since 2017 at this point, would make them buy. But I also just it's not the smart thing to do. But I also, God, I'm going to get heat for this if people are actually watching. Buster Posey sucks. He's not a good GM. He's not the guy who makes emotional decisions. He's not thinking the way that you should think when it comes to being a higher up in an organization. And I think it's him and Mark Kotsay are probably two perfect examples why you shouldn't have former franchise good players be in your front office. It just rarely works. If you're going to be a good player and go be in the front office or a head coach, go do it for a different team. Don't do it for the team that you at least from a front office perspective, don't hire the guy. If Stephen Vogt was a bad manager, but he was with the A's, we're like, oh, never fire him. Now he's in Cleveland. Obviously, he's a great manager, but it's I don't know. I just don't like the idea of it. I think they buy. It's the wrong thing to do, but I think they buy.
It is. But here's the thing, right? I've been trying to tell the Giants fans, and maybe this is a conversation for Buster Posey, because you don't hire the college manager if you're trying to win right now. That's ridiculous. That's a project, right?
You would think. But, they just traded for Raffy Devers last year.
Yeah.
And they traded Pat Bailey away. And, I guess they're technically already sellers. Was Pat Bailey? But, I don't know. Susac for 15-year extension, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked with just how they seem to make emotional decisions in San Francisco. On to the second half. What do you got here?
I got a couple predictions for the two conference finals. we'll keep it quick. We haven't talked a ton of basketball in the last couple weeks, but we are in the Final Four, and things are getting down to it. We talked about Western Conference Finals. I had OKC in 7 was my prediction. After San Antonio wins game 1 on the road, I'm very tempted to switch my pick right now. Just the way that Shea looked last night, it didn't. And I'm probably going to eat my words for this, but it looked like he wasn't the best player in the NBA last night, and he wasn't the best player in the series, and the best player is going to win the series. So I'll take San Antonio in 7, a crazy long series that everybody's going to love watching, especially if San Antonio wins. Yeah.
I'm not going to say my picks because I have them in the layup and bold prediction.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
I'll hold on.
Eastern Conference Finals, game 1 just started, 13-14 Knicks at home. I love watching Cleveland. I'm happy they beat Detroit. Sorry, Sham. They're just not fun to watch, man. Cleveland, Donnie Mitchell finally having a playoff moment in that last series. I just don't think they're good enough or big enough to defend the New York Knicks. Very physical team. I think the Knicks win in 6. I think it will probably be quick. Cleveland steals a couple at home.
Same thing. I'll wait until the predictions.
I got one last thing here in the second half before we go to the bets. We missed the draft lottery. We didn't have an episode. So Washington Wizards, number 1, probably DeBansa or Darren Peterson. It's going to be their pick, whoever they like more. Utah gets number 2, so they'll get one of those 2 as well. And then the 3-4, Memphis, Chicago, with the draft kind of looking like a big 4 with Boozer and Caleb Wilson. You would imagine those teams who definitely need a big man too would take those 2 guys in any order. The Clippers get the pick back from the Zubats trade at number 5, so they'll get a guard to pair with Garland most likely. Brooklyn, Sac, both fall. Got to be tough to be a Sac fan with pick 7 right now for sure. But that'll be in like 33 days, I think, after the finals are done. Warriors got pick 11. They didn't move down, at least.
Yeah. Clipper stuff is nuts. Yeah. I mean, we'll move on. 2 weeks ago, layups, bold prediction, stuff like that. I had the Padres and the Giants over 8.5 on Wednesday. That was the final day game, weekday game. I think it was Waldron versus Hauser. Forget what the final score was, but it did not go over. Skyler had Toronto over the Angels on that Friday. That did happen. I think they took 2 out of 3 in that series in Toronto, if I remember correctly. This week, Knicks over Cleveland in 5 or less is what I say. Knicks are on a roll. Cleveland just played 2 long series. I don't think the rust hurts the Knicks here. This is a team that less this year because Thibodeau's gone, but was used to playing a ton of minutes and could get overworked once we got to playoff time. It's not really like that anymore. So Knicks over Cleveland in 5 or less.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening as the Knicks go on an 8-0 run right now as we speak. But I guess I'm just hoping for a better series, maybe extend that 1 game. Not like I want you to miss your pick. But my pick is baseball. I didn't have basketball on here, of course. I'm going to take Arizona to beat Colorado Friday night. Mike Soroka in that one. They're going to be at home, not in Colorado. So good odds for Arizona.
2 weeks ago, bold prediction was that Atlanta would win over Seattle on Wednesday. That sounds weird because Atlanta is the better team, but it was like Brian Wu versus Martin Perez or something like that. Didn't go green. Seattle actually won that series, if I remember correctly. 2 weeks ago, you had Boston over Tampa Bay on Friday. 2 Fridays ago. Don't remember that game at all, to be honest with you.
Connerly early. Masterclass.
It goes green. This week, San Antonio over OKC. I don't know how bold it is anymore, but I'd imagine it's probably still like right around plus odds.
Yeah.
Just last night, I was convinced, man. It felt like, this is the birth of a great in Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome to see for sure. I love madness in the NBA playoffs. I have a similar strategy going with another American League East matchup for my bold prediction. I got Tampa Bay beating the Yankees on Friday night at Yankee Stadium. It was Nick Martinez, who's been awesome, sub 2 ERA against TBD. Now we know who that TBD is. Friday night, Garrett Cole's return. Give me Tampa Bay.
Awesome. I'm trying to find the odds right now for this thing, but I can't find it. So regardless, that'll do it. Episode 292 next week or the week after. I don't know when. 293. It'll happen. We'll probably need to get back into awards maybe, or I don't know. We'll figure it out. There's a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff that's just going on. So
maybe some all-star ballots opening up next month.
Yeah, that could definitely be in our queue. But until then, keep your stick on the ice. I don't know. Anything else?
Rip Buffalo. Sabres lost Game 7 last night, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess so. I have not been tapped in to the NHL playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, sorry, that much. I don't know why. I know the playoffs are really good. I'd be entertained if I had them on, but I've just had an NBA over NHL for the playoffs just because I know more players maybe.
And the A's have been on, a 640 every night for the past week too. That helps.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we'll see you guys next week. And
let's go Wemby.
Let's go Ways.
Take them down. Yes.
Yeah.
Adios.
Adios.